With me being the middle child, and Kin being the middle child, it seemed as if we had a lot more in common. I was 14, and she was 13 when we met, but we developed a stronger bond than any of the other kids. We could talk about things in our lives and understand what we were dealing with. I could tell her about my girlfriends, and she would tell me about her boyfriends. It was almost as if I was telling her about what could go wrong, and she would give me some advice about what the girl I was seeing really wanted, and vice versa. Like I said, we were close friends. By the time we graduated high school, our friendship never wavered. It was time to go our separate ways, so to speak. I graduated in 1972, and Kim graduated in 1973 from the same high school. I started junior college and was in my second year when she started her freshman year there. It was like old times. Well, almost. College life for me was not as easy as high school, but I somehow managed. I couldn't afford to go full-time, so in my second year, I carried only half a load of classes, which gave me time to work and study too. So now that you are up to date on my life, I'll tell you how Kim and I became an item. As I said, I had classes half a day, and then put in as many hours as I could at the local big box store around the corner where I lived. "Hey, good looking," I said when I saw her walk into the store one afternoon. "How are you enjoying college life?" With a surprised look on her face, she merely said, "Well, it really is not what I was hoping for." "What do you mean?" "Isn't your dad paying for your first year?" "You shouldn't be walking on cloud nine," I stated. Kim told me, "Well, it really isn't high school, is it?" "I mean, there's a lot more work to do in class than I thought there would be." "Kim," I said, "look, if you need help, you know I'll be there for you. You and I have been the best of friends since forever. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know, and I will do it. All you have to do is ask. Is there anything else you need help with?" She goes on to tell me how lonely she has been away from the family and how it affects everything around her, and that she does not like living in an off-campus apartment with two other girls, and on and on. "Look, Kim, I get off at 8 o'clock. I'll come over, and we can work things out to see if it will help make it easier on you. You just make sure there's some pizza there so we can eat." "What do you say?" I asked. Kim hugged my neck, and we made it a date. I guess it was essentially a date, but I really did not think of it that way. She's the one that said, "Okay, it's a date. You're on." So now, here I am, 4 hours later, at the apartment of my best friend since childhood, and all I can think of is just, what the heck am I doing here? It's Friday night. Everyone is out, have a good time, drinking, dancing, going to movies, out to eat, whatever else they can do and get away with. And here I am. Well, that's what friends do, right? I showed up at her door and knocked. She answered with a slice of pizza in one hand and my favorite soda in the other. I still had my work clothes on, and she was wearing cut-off jeans and a t-shirt, sans bra. Now, Kim did not really have an overabundance in the chest area, but they were nice. I guess now would be a good time to describe me and her as best I can. Me, I am an average guy with an average build, and I stand about 5 foot 6 inches tall. I have blonde hair, blue eyes, And since I like to sing, I have a nice voice. I do not have an overabundance of muscles, nor do I want them. Kim, on the other hand, was not one of those knockdown, gorgeous girls guys drool over. She stands 5'4" tall. She has light brunette hair, freckles on her face, arms and upper chest area, and is somewhere around a 34B in the chest area. But she does have a nice curvy shape and shapely legs. Kim also greeted me at the door with a kiss on the cheek and told me, "Come on in." I have my books on the table, more pizza on the counter, and more sodas in the fridge. I just smiled, shook my head, and followed her directions. "Kim, where do you want to start?" I thought we would just sort of play catch up and then go from there. "I want to help, but I also need to know a few things before we begin," I said. "Okay, Beetle," she said. "Sit and we'll catch up with each other, then start doing what we need to help me out." Since we had not seen each other since I moved out of the house, except the set to Christmas break, we had a lot of catching up to do. I explained that I was merely taking all the basic courses to get them out of the way for me to become a civil engineer. I had not had much time for a girlfriend. She explained that her latest boyfriend could not agree that she needed to start college when she did, so they broke up about 2 months before she graduated. I was thinking, good. I did not really like the egotistical schmuck anyway. He was just not good enough for me. We did discuss my lack of a girlfriend and everything I had done and been doing since I got here. We discussed her lack of a boyfriend and everything she had been doing. So all that took up about an hour or so, and started to earnestly figure out what she needed to do. All she really needed to do was just get organized. The solution was just that simple. Kim and I would hang out at the student lounge as often as we could. We would study in the library, and in general, just hang out with each other. I now had a girl I was somewhat seeing, and she became part of our study group. Becky, which is my new girlfriend's name, and Kim hit it off like they were sisters. Eventually, Kim found a guy named David, and the four of us became somewhat fast friends. Even though I did not really like David much, he seemed to like Kim enough to make her comfortable. Even Becky sensed something about the guy that neither of us could actually put a finger on the why, but we did the best we could to tolerate the guy for Kim's sake. Fast forward to the end of my time at the junior college, which would make a total of 3 years there, and I had to make a decision as to what and where I was going to do my what at. Kim did well in her 2 years there and got out with a 2-year degree in nursing. Becky and I did not last all that long, and she left to go home. David was still there, and it looked as if he and Kim would get married. I still had not figured out why. I did not like him that much, but I did tolerate him. If Kim was happy, who was I to interfere with that? Good, bad, or indifferent, I decided to join the army. I figured that after I finished my enlistment, there would be enough grant money to finish my education in civil engineering. I could still take related college courses while in the service, so this appeared to be a good option for me. Mom and Dad did not like it. Neither did Kim, but it is what it is. I hate that phrase to this day. I reported 2 days after Kim graduated and left the country for the next 4 years. A lot happens in 4 years. Kim got married, and had a beautiful baby girl. My older brother had joined the Marines a year before I enlisted in the Army, and he spent his next 4 years as an MP while the younger brother got married and started his family. I completed all of my college hours online and had a civil engineering degree when I got out. Believe me when I tell you, there are those in the service that are always willing to help you out when it comes to studying something or the other. Even the officers I assigned to work under would help. I could have zeroed up and became an officer, but that was not in my blood. I was ready to tackle the real world with real world problems. As I said, I was ready to tackle the world, but I did not foresee what would happen when I finally did get home. My family was still intact. The closeness of those in my family had not been strained. Marion decided the Marine Corps was just a bunch of grown-up Boy Scouts, and when his time ended, he got out, continuing his life. He decided to become a cop. Once in uniform, always in uniform was his apparent line of thought. Willie and his wife have 2 kids now and are doing fine. As for the Barnhards, all were doing fine except Kim. She, on the other hand, was not doing as good as the rest of her family. When I asked my mom about Kim, she told me that her marrying that boy, as she put, it was a mistake. I already knew this, but kept my mouth shut. She explained that David seemed to be keeping something of a secret from Kim's family. Mom informed me that I was not to get involved because there was nothing I could do about it right now. You need to move on with your life and get things going in your favor, Mom said. Kim will eventually figure out what to do, and hopefully soon. Look, Mom, you know Kim and I have been the best of friends since we met. She is like real family to me, I said. I cannot stand the thought of her not being happy. I know, son, but just let sleeping dogs lie, she said. I was real concerned about Kim, and I also knew I had to help her if I could. Now, I know she is a nurse for one of the local hospitals, and I also now knew she was having trouble with her husband. While I was away in the Army, Kim had a baby girl. I'd never seen, nor had I met the kid. But if she looked anything like her mom, she had to be cute as a bedbug. 3 weeks passed, and I ran into Kim at the hospital. I had to go there for a complete physical for a company I was going to go to work for. Kim looked haggard as hell. To me, she looked like she had aged 12 years. In just the 4 short years since I had last seen her. We did talk, but just a little. She seemed a little embarrassed to talk to me for some reason, and I could not put a handle on it. I had to find out what was going on. I talked to Marion to find out what he and the police department knew about David. He told me he could get into trouble for talking about David, but since we were family, he would risk it. David has been having legal troubles almost since the day he and Kim got married. Having a baby did not slow him down. Marion had been out to their house on numerous occasions, investigating spousal abuse. Kim would never file charges on him, so he was never charged with anything. Seeing David also had a slight drug problem. He could not or would not hold a job very long, and the money issue or lack thereof was probably a major part of the root of their problems. Of course, the drugs also had to be figured into that factor. Marion, is there any way you can get me a rap sheet on him? I asked. And while you were at it, get me his history of jobs he has had over the past 4 years. Yeah, I can probably do that easily enough. But what are you going to do with that information? He asked me. I do not know just yet, but probably something stupid, if you know me. I responded. Besides, I have done some growing up since I graduated high school. Look, Beetle, Marion said, just do not go and do something that will cause me to have to make an official visit. Other than that, have fun with it. And yes, I know you have grown up some, but when it comes to anyone in the Barnhart family, we would all go out of our way to help any one of them. About a week later, I got all the information I needed from Marion. David's rap sheet had a lot of entries over the past 4 years, and none of them were good. David was just what I thought he would be back when I first met him. A real dung heap in human form. Now, me being a civil engineer, I had to start formulating a plan of action. I still had not met the baby. She was just over 3½ years old now, and would definitely be in her formative years. I did not want to scar her emotionally, so I had to be careful no matter what I did. I knew I was going to do something, and I knew I needed some help. But who can I put this trust in, and still no one get in legal trouble? Well, as things go, you do create a bond with many of those you serve with. Being in special operations, or spec ops as we called it, there was plenty we could do. I got hold of a good friend I met while in the Army, and he and I had coffee. He only lived about 30 minutes away, so meeting up with him would not only be good for us to catch up, but it would not seem out of the ordinary if we were seen in public together. Jimbo and I talked for about 2 hours, catching up and going over the problem at hand. Beetle, what kind of history do you have with this King girl? What I mean is, why are you so interested in helping her? He asked. Look, Jimbo, I said. She and I were the best of friends, pretty much from the day we met. I like her a lot, and she does not need to be in an abusive relationship with anyone. Sounds like you might even love this girl, he said. Well, I do care for her a lot. But as far as love, I really do not think so. But maybe. I said, I mean, I have known her for the better part of 10 years, and she and I would discuss girlfriend-boyfriend problems with each other. We would give each other advice that would always help each other out. I guess maybe down deep, I do love her. But let's get her out of this situation, and then we can see where it goes. Is that okay with you? Okay, Beetle, let's do this, he said. We decided to get as many details as possible on David. His former employers could give us a lot of information if they would open up. We decided to act as a prospective employer, so they might tell us inside information on him. We watched him when we could, just to find out who he associated himself with. Known drug users and dealers were plentiful. If we could find and prove he was dealing drugs, it would make it easier on us to get him to self-incriminate for the law. Using my brother's information, we were able to convince the local police department to give us a little leeway in this matter, just as long as we did not blatantly break any laws ourselves. David's past employers were very helpful. At least 5 of them volunteered more information than we thought was legal. We told them we were a high security clearance company needing people of low integrity. They even gave us a few more names than we thought we needed. As it turned out, a few of the names given us were also some of his cohorts. Sure does make it easy when others want to help, that is, for damn sure. It was now time to put some of the plan into action. Jimbo confronted David with an offer he could not refuse. Jimbo told him he needed to purchase 30 pounds of weed, 20 ounces of meth, and an assorted other illegal narcotics. My brother was also in on the idea of mailing this scumbag to the wall, as well as the police department. As luck would have it, my brother was called out for another domestic dispute at their address. He called me to let me know something was going on. When I arrived, the scene was nothing short of chaotic. Kim had been beaten pretty badly. David was in cuffs, and I was livid. Marion decided David needed to spend a night or two in jail this time. Kim needed someone to stay with her. She really needed to see a doctor. She was adamant about not going to the hospital. I decided to stay the night with her and the baby, just to help out. The next morning, I made Kim sit down and talk to me. She looked like she had been through a meat grinder. Her face was bruised up pretty bad. Her body was also bruised and turning black and yellow. I was not a happy camper. Kim, look, you need to get out of this relationship, I said. Beetle, I do not have anywhere to go, she said. I can't go home because Daddy would kill David for this. Besides, this is not the first time this has happened. I really do not know what to do anymore. I am getting concerned about the baby, though. What if he hurts her? What'll I do then? After thinking about it for all of 2 seconds, I told her, Kim, go pack up what you need for you and the baby, and come stay with me. I bought that 2-story house we liked as kids a month ago, so there is plenty of room. You and the baby can stay upstairs all by yourselves. I'll stay downstairs in the master bedroom until we can decide what your next move is. I absolutely will not leave you here without some sort of protection. End of discussion. Kim agreed to go with me, but wanted me to understand it would only be temporary. She did not want to see me get hurt by David and his friends. So with that said, we decided the best thing to do is pack up and leave. So that is what we did.